Okay, good morning and good afternoon, NAIFA. Welcome to Q3 2021 State of NAIFA. Today you will be hearing from the NAIFA President, Tom Michael, NAIFA CEO, Kevin Mayu, and the Senior Vice President of Government Relations, Diane Boyle. And here to kick things off today is NAIFA President, Tom Michael.
Thank you, Zach. And hello, NAIFA. I hope everyone is well and we find finally your summer is going well. Welcome to our third quarter State of NAIFA. And again, I hope your summer is going well and it brings all the endless possibilities that summer does possess. First of all, thank you. Thank you for showing up. As stockholders in our organization, we really appreciate you showing up and checking in so that you can disseminate the information that we have to give to you and that you can give to your constituents. So I really mean it. Thank you for being here. We greatly appreciate it. Our format's going to be similar to the first two that we've had this year. Yours truly is going to give you some comments and updates. And then our CEO, Kevin Mayu, will give you his 6-month review and some exciting changes that have occurred. And then, of course, our Senior Vice President of Government Relations, Diane Boyle, will have plenty to talk about. And then I'll give you a few closing comments. With that being said, now some of you might be saying, I hope he doesn't talk about the plan again. Well, I am. I'm going to talk about it because it's the core of our metamorphosis of our organization. And it continues to be the roadmap that allows us to move forward in a very, very positive manner. And like I have in the first two State of NAIFAs, I am happy to announce that the plan continues to work and the State of NAIFA is excellent. Now, I understand discussing a plan repetitively may not be very sexy. But ladies and gentlemen, a good plan gets you in the race. But sticking to it gets you to the winner's circle. And we're going to stick to it. As I told our board last week, if I was the captain of this ship and we aimed to preserve the ship, then we'd stay in port. But we're aiming much higher than that. We have left the port because our industry needs us. And sure, there may be a stormy sea or two out there, but we choose to grow and put some wind in our ship's sails. So as you know, we have now embarked on our second strategic plan, NAIFA 2025, second plan in the last 10 years. NAIFA 2025 is well underway and we continue to see success. Just 3 weeks ago, I summarized to our board our first 6 months and our half-year accomplishments, and I'd like to share some of those highlights with you if you don't mind. First, the industry and companies continue to gravitate to us and take notice of the new model and how effective it is. Corporate sponsorship from the likes of New York Life, Guardian, Mass Mutual, State Farm, One America, Ameritas, Kansas City Life, Ohio National, Coventry, and others have either maintained their support or increased their support, which has greatly helped our non-dues revenue. And that's not all. Our corporate partnerships continue to grow, for lack of a better term. They are looking to NAIFA because they see the potential. New programs and collaborations are being seen with the likes of Insperity, Fairway Mortgage, Every Income, Life Happens, E4 Insurance, Primary Financial, AARP, Customers Bank, Southern Medical Association, Stearns Financial, WebCE, Females in Finance, InsureTech Express, Real Wealth Marketing, Reminder Media, and White Glove, to name a few. See, they see the upside of one NAIFA and access to fewer, stronger chapters. And I urge all of you to pass these companies on and to look at them on our website and how they may help you either in your practice or in your organization. there's really some great tools at your disposal. And there's more on the way. In addition, as you'll see there in the right-hand corner of the screen, our 100% agency program continues to gain phenomenal traction and add membership in a bulk process while giving their respective agencies increased notoriety. So what does that mean to you? Well, better programs, better value, and of course, it doesn't hurt that NAIFA financially is in excellent shape as we have grown our reserves. With that being said, I and NAIFA still need you. Please put us in front of groups. We need audiences to tell our story, to show the value of a NAIFA membership. We are getting traction with this program, and we need you to give us more people to talk to. Ladies and gentlemen, we will never, ever grow this organization selling memberships one at a time. We must do it in a bulk process, whether it be agencies, BGAs, IMOs, broker dealers, and the list goes on. So I'm asking all of you to please help and give us a warm introduction, and I'm confident you'll like the results. Now, Diane Boyle is going to close with GR, but I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the second quarter success of the Congressional Conference. Over 1,300 registered participants, almost 300 of them non-members, and now some of them have become members. In addition, all 100 senators and or their offices have met with NAIFA personnel to discuss such important topics as the Secure Act and the PRO Act. A rousing success, and thanks to all of you who participated in this phenomenal event. There's much more I could expand on, but we don't have a lot of time, and Kevin has a lot of great information as well as Diane. And Kevin, I would like to share with you some of these plans. But I ask you to join us, our collective efforts, as we implement our plans. You know, there's an old saying that says a good business plan is 9 parts execution for every 1 part strategy. Well, we're going to continue to focus on execution at the national level, and I hope you will help us because you know we are all in this together. So with that being said, it's my pleasure to introduce our CEO, Mr. Kevin Mayu.
Thanks, Tom. Again, appreciate everybody joining us here today and participating in this conversation as we give an update as to what's going on in NAIFA. Couple of things I wanted to talk about. One, you should be receiving in the next few days a copy of the Enterprise Accountability Report. And that is our way of being transparent and reporting back to our membership all over the country about the work that NAIFA is doing every single day. So that report again should be going out in about another week or so, and that will show you how we are in achieving our goals related to membership growth, brand amplification, and in enhancing the membership experience for all NAIFA members around the country. I'm really pleased to report that through the end of Q2, which is the period that went from April until June, that we're actually on track towards achieving those goals for the year and following what our business implementation plan says we're going to be doing during 2021. And so look forward to receiving that report. But again, it's great news. This is part of what we do of being transparent. Again, back to our chapter leaders and our members all across the country and making sure that all of you see that NAIFA itself is doing what it told you it was going to do during the year. Soon we're going to begin the process, even though we're here in July, we're soon going to begin the process of planning out what we're doing in 2022. And so we've got our key staff leadership as well as our board will be getting together next month talking about what the horizon looks like in 2022 and what we need to move forward to continue to implement the NAIFA 2025 strategic plan. Speaking of that, the 2021 plan work that we have is outlined on the screen before you. We talked during our first one of these calls this year about what we plan to do, the major activities and events throughout the year, and we've continued to execute again on what that game plan was. Like Tom talked about, we had a very successful congressional conference at the end of May. There is no other way to better highlight the strength of the NAIFA nation, that by bringing folks together and helping to educate policymakers as to the impacts, good or bad, of the different things they're considering, and for them to continue to understand the critical role that advisors play in helping 90 million American families have the financial security that they need throughout life. Great work again for everybody from the Congressional Conference. And I'm really looking forward to, in May of 2022, all of us being able to get together actually in person in Washington, D.C., as we talk to policymakers, again, about the issues that are pressing at that time as they consider public policy on behalf of our country. We've got a few more activities that are coming up in the course of the next few months. The big one, of course, coming up next month is our Performance Plus Purpose Conference. Great opportunity to get everybody together to have top-notch professional development. We're going to talk a little more of that in a second. We have a Future Leaders program that's going to come out in September. So be looking for a flyer that talks about all the great activities we've got with our Future Leaders Conference. But this is a great way to get new talent into the profession and to talk about what a rewarding career this is, and hopefully get some of the best and brightest that we've got out there in society today to consider becoming an advisor because of the meaningful and successful role that can be for them, as well as, again, serving so many Americans across this country. So look for that in September. In December, we're going to have another Impact Week for our Limited and Extended Care Planning Center with our Long-Term Care Impact Week. And then in December, we're actually going to get together face-to-face, chapter leaders and advocacy leaders from all across the country as we gather for our National Leadership Conference here in Washington, D.C. And that'll be a great opportunity for our chapter leaders to put together their plans to execute in 2022 to help advance the NAIFA 2025 strategic plan at the chapter level, but also to help us understand how we can be more impactful on behalf of the NAIFA Nation. And then we're also going to include in that our annual business meeting, and we're going to celebrate our volunteers and all the hard work that they've given on behalf of our association when we gather in person in Washington, D.C. in December. One of the great things we've also been building over the course of the past few years are our centers. And it started basically with our Limited and Extended Care Planning Center, which was our inaugural center. And you've seen that program continue to grow and be enhanced. We've formed a working group of participants within the LECP Center to basically provide guidance and help provide robust thought leadership for that center. And it involves a cross-section of leaders from across the industry that are serving on our advisory board. We've also produced resources for policymakers, and our center leadership team and our advisors have worked in conjunction with our government relations team to help get important information to policymakers so they can better serve their constituents, but at the same time knowing that NAIFA is the go-to trusted source of information in our space, and that we can be a tremendous asset for them as members of Congress or state legislators, as well as for their constituents, as we attempt to make sure that we have financial security for all Americans. The Business Performance Center and the Talent Development Center have also gained several new sponsors over the course of the next quarter. And I really want to thank our friends at Southern Medical Association, Customers Bank, One America, and Insperity for their support of NAIFA and the work that they're doing to enhance our centers within the NAIFA umbrella. And then finally, our DEI Council continues to provide strong industry-wide leadership, talking about the importance of all of us, making sure that all Americans have access to the products that they need so they can live a financially secure life. And with that, it really helps understate our commitment to ensuring that there's financial security opportunities available for all Americans. During the course of the past few months, we have signed as NAIFA, and I have signed personally as your CEO, the CEO Action Pledge, where we have again talked about the importance of reaching all different communities and providing opportunities for every person out there. And we've also had a staff day of understanding to understand how we can better communicate with diverse audiences and again, do our best to represent every American. And Diane Boyle, who you're going to hear from after me, has signed a similar pledge on behalf of our government relations program, and her leadership is the head of that program. Our Leadership in Life Institute, Lilly, has been a mainstay of NAIFA. And many of you all are Lilly graduates, and you also know many other people that have gone through that program. And you know how impactful it can be in helping develop individual leadership skills and how transformative it can be to help make a person a better leader in life. I'm really pleased that now we've developed an online Lilly program where folks from across the country, no matter where they're located, can, if they choose to, participate in a virtual program that provides opportunities for people to network and get to know each other, particularly for some of our members that are located more remotely, where they may not have an opportunity to have an in-person Lilly class in their area. Again, us providing more opportunities to help enrich the lives of our NAIFA members from across the country. Tremendous program, and I'm really pleased that our new online version of Lilly is available. Our premier professional development event, again, is our Performance Plus Purpose Conference, and that is coming up live. This year it will be virtual again, and it's going to be August 17th through the 19th. If you haven't yet registered for this, please do so. It is an incredibly impactful professional development opportunity, tremendous thought leadership and motivation. This is not the old school NAIFA conference from the past. This is really a premier professional development opportunity that's been developed and will be delivered to, again, help enhance the member experience so that all of you can be better and stronger professionals, better serving your clients, and just doing a tremendous job as advisors. So that is live. It's on the NAIFA website. We'd encourage you to sign up and join us August 17th through the 19th. We've got some tremendous keynote speakers with that activity. And so you'd have an opportunity, you see on the 3 days right in front of you, to hear on August 17th from Dana Perino, August 18th from Holly Hoffman, and August 19th from Jason Hewlett. Tremendous, tremendous speakers with a powerful message that'll motivate you, that will inspire you, and it helps also bring the right kind of gravitas and attention to our conference that NAIFA and our Premier Professional Development Program definitely deserves and enjoys. I really want to thank the companies that have gone out of their way to provide us with the financial support we need to bring in some of these top-notch speakers and to help make sure that this program is a tremendous success. Particularly, I want to thank New York Life, One America, Prudential, Principal, Guardian, State Farm, Mass Mutual, Emeritus, Ohio National for their strong support of our 2021 Performance Plus Purpose Conference. And I also want to thank our educational partners at the Southern Medical Association, Every Income, and Insperity for all that you're doing to help us bolster our educational programming for NAIFA members from coast to coast. And while we're talking about that, as we also mentioned, our face-to-face opportunity to gather in December is going to provide us an opportunity to salute NAIFA members that have done tremendous work and recognize them for their service and contributions to the profession, but also to us as an association. And so you see some of the awards that we'll be presenting at the National Leadership Conference coming up in December. It's going to be a great opportunity to gather here in Washington, D.C., to salute some of our best and brightest within NAIFA, and also to honor and recognize our chapter leaders for the service they're providing out in the field, from coast to coast and everywhere in between. So hopefully, again, our chapter leaders will have an opportunity to join us. And then, of course, we'll recognize our diversity champion, our 4 under 40, our YAT Leader of the Year, and the recipient of the John Newton Russell Memorial Award, and others, again, for the great work they've done, helping to enhance the NAIFA experience for our members everywhere. I'm pleased to announce that we are continuing to grow and expand and enrich and add talent to our professional staff in NAIFA. We have a few new additions to our team that have just come on board in the past few months. So let me tell you, when you get an opportunity to meet these folks, you're going to say, wow, NAIFA continues to up its game every single day. Our new Vice President for Business Development and External Relations is Michelle Harris, an absolutely tremendous professional who's worked in the association space for quite some time, but also has experience within our industry as well. So she brings that unique blend of being able to help associations bring in resources to help them advance their mission, but also understanding, again, what the insurance and financial services space does, because she's been a part of it before. And so I think that is really cool. In fact, she was licensed, which is incredible. And it shows, again, some of that in-depth knowledge as to what this profession involves. We've also brought on board Randy Clark. Randy is a tremendously talented membership professional. He's worked with some of the biggest associations and companies in this country and has really found ways for them to open up their membership and support pipelines to, again, build a stronger, better association that can better serve its members, serve its constituents, and again, achieve its mission. And he has started again as our lead basically for membership outreach and engagement, and will be focusing on corporate sales. Again, helping to make sure we can bring back that culture where every advisor joins NAIFA their professional association and becomes involved. And we're going to make that process as seamless as we can. As Randy and I've talked about, we're going to find ways to open up those clogged arteries and expand them so that we can pump more membership lifeblood into this association. So I'm looking forward to you all getting a chance to work with both Michelle and Randy. Tremendous new additions to our team. I think you're going to see some real positive results coming from them and from the many other talented professionals that we've brought on board to assist on our chapter operations and our programming and in all the other great work that we do in NAIFA. Speaking of highlighting success in our membership, you may have noticed that Advisor Today has come back in print form. We have a new format, a new look and feel for our publication. And again, you've also been noticing you've been receiving it in your mailbox, which is great. So we have a digital version, of course, of Advisor Today that's available. We now have more than 55,000 advisors that have subscribed to our digital version of Advisor Today. And our NAIFA members from coast to coast, unless they've told us otherwise, are also getting a print version that comes throughout the year. So you get 4 print versions. The latest version that just came out that talks about the dog days of summer also finds a way to recognize and spotlight NAIFA members, companies, supporters, sponsors of this association for the great work that they have done. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want to highlight for more people the important work that NAIFA members and NAIFA leaders do every day for this profession. And again, for the society, the customers that they serve. So we're going to continue to enhance your brand. Again, it's advocate, educate, differentiate, and help spotlight, again, NAIFA success stories. And so you'll see a lot of that in this issue of Advisor Today and in future issues, because we're all about, again, spotlighting the great work you do on behalf of Main Street Americans from coast to coast. And talking a little more about the power of that Main Street message, I'd like to turn it over to Diane Boyle, our Senior Vice President of Government Relations, who will give us an update as to what's going on from the GR front. Diane, over to you.
Great, thanks, Kevin. And it's always a pleasure to be with the folks. Yeah, there's a lot going on and a lot to be excited about. You know, those of you that know me know that I've probably whined a little bit about the congressional conference, which is my favorite event of the year, having to go virtual. But let me assure you, which Tom and Kevin have both already shared, with over 1,300 registrants and covering the entire Senate in that single day, really did still have the impact that we wanted to have. And that is so important to the legislative work that we do, especially in this environment where everyone is shifting to virtual meetings, and you needed to pivot to make sure that we didn't lose our advocacy focus simply because we weren't able to meet in person. And we didn't. I can assure you that I have, and those on my team, we've already had lawmakers reach out to us as a result of the congressional conference. It reminds them of the importance of NAIFA and the work that you do and who you actually work with, those Main Street American families and businesses. And so as they start looking at legislative proposals, it reminds them not only to contact you as their local expert, but it reminds them of the power of NAIFA. And so they contact us as well and say, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? I'm thinking about this. Can you put me in touch with someone? So it really does complete that comprehensive advocacy approach that NAIFA really strives to achieve. So thank you to all of you who have participated. We had representatives from every state. We had meetings that were really impactful, and we're going to continue that. So as we move into August recess, when they go home and they visit with you, we want to make sure that we continue our influence and our impact. And so we have a new grassroots training course that what we're looking to do, and Kevin talked a little bit about celebrating you and what you do, because you may be scratching your head and going, Diane, the last thing I want to do is go through another freaking course. Why do I have to do that? What the advocacy course does, it allows you to become a financial security advocate on behalf of the clients that you serve and your prospects. It allows you to be their voice in the legislative process. And so what the grassroots course does, it gives you some examples of how can you really develop those relationships with lawmakers. Then once you go through it, And that's the next step. The course itself is actually developed. We have, how to start that advocacy journey. How do you begin? Where do you start? How, if you already have relationships, how do you expand that advocacy? How do you take it to the next level? And then in the more advanced course, we actually talk about some of the grassroots strategies, including, do you run for office? We have a handful of members of Congress that were former NAIFA members because they took their advocacy involvement to the highest degree. And you can, or maybe you're not interested in that. You get to kind of pick and choose the level of involvement that you want to have. But going through the course, which will take you about 3 hours in total to go through, you sort of gain all of that knowledge. Then once you have that information and you know how you can develop relationships, how you can influence, what we as NAIFA want to do is celebrate you, that you are now a financial security advocate. And so we'll come up with, credentials and badging and ways for you to share with your clients that you are actually helping them within the advocacy space by developing and sharing their stories, their challenges with getting, financial protection, security, access with lawmakers so that we end up at the end of the day with laws and regulations that actually work to help them rather than hinder their ability to become financially secure. So it actually is a really exciting time, really excited about the program. As I said, the course now is just getting started. It's posted. You can go in and get started. And then you'll start seeing in the very near future how we're actually going to take that information for those individuals that go through the course and really help you elevate or differentiate yourself from your competitors by allowing you to share that you've gone through this course and have this knowledge as yet another tool to better serve your clients. Then Kevin mentioned that I signed a diversity in government relations. It's really important that we make sure, and that's one of the benefits of NAIFA in general, is that we have members in every congressional district. We have members in 87% of the state legislative districts. Everything that I do is in terms of congressional or legislative districts, if you haven't picked up on that. But what that does is it means we're serving in every community. So as the nation is really shifting to say, hey, who are we serving? Are we making sure that underserved communities are having access to financial security and financial professionals? NAIFA can answer yes, we're there. We need to make sure that we stay there. And so we need to be intentional about how we recruit people to the business. We need to be intentional about how we recruit people into even my team to make sure that we're representing diversity as well, so that we are showing that we're able to look at policy through the lens of the communities that we serve. And so that was a lot of what the pledge was that I signed on behalf of the team. We also have the NAIC is looking at diversity. We had our NAIFA trustee Wynn testify before the committee talking about race and insurance and where there may be opportunities for us to close some of those gaps and some of the barriers that may exist, how to identify those. And we also went with submitting comments to FRENRA. They were asking, what can we do in this environment is, regarding licensing exam availability, different disclosures, how do you communicate and what do you do? And so NAIFA put together comment letters to send to FINRA too, to make sure that we're allowing different segments of our society to be welcomed into our industry so that they can serve different communities. And very pleased with that work, and that work will continue because there continues to be a focus on making sure that more people that we can include into our industry, the more likely we are to serve and really achieve that financial security for all. And that's what the organization is designed to do. So we're moving through that. On the state side, speaking of some of the NAIC and in-coil activity, On NAIC annuity suitability, I said early on, and thank goodness I'm able to say proudly that if we were able to get the NAIC annuity suitability model or best interest adopted in a dozen states halfway through the year, we could claim success. That was our main goal and really pushed hard. And I'm proud to say that we have 15. So by halfway through, we had 15 states that had adopted the model. The model aligns with the SEC best interest. It works really well. It's a thorough rule, and we think that aligning with the SEC really makes a good model. It shows that we are working to make sure that consumers' interests are served, and it's done so in a way that isn't overly burdensome on our members. And we will continue to make sure that the model is adopted in the other states to the extent that we can. Any of you that have worked with the NAIC before know that it's slow when they come up with a model regulation to get it out into all of the states. And so that's where NAIFA and a number of our advocacy partners, including ACLI, worked really closely to make sure that we were working with the states to make sure that they had either introduced in the way of legislation or regulation, depending on the state, the model put through, adopted, and going forward. And as I said, we're really proud to say that we have 15 states. So we've exceeded our goal of having a dozen halfway through the year. So doesn't mean we're going to take our foot off the gas. We're still going to push hard, but the momentum is there, and we're really proud of what we've been able to achieve. On the independent contractor status, and we talked a little bit about working on the PRO Act when we had our congressional conference and you met with your senators. It's still an area of concern where you use the ABC test. We had Megan Gale and Josh O'Gara testify before the in-call summer meeting just last week, where they talked about the standard. And the concern here, as you know, is if we move to a situation where the ABC test is the end-all be-all to determining whether someone is or is not an independent contractor, it doesn't work for the financial services industry. And now while the PRO Act is purely focused on the ability to organize, you have Senator Wyden has an initiative where the ABC test would be used to determine whether unemployment insurance is available. You have the DOL who's looking at maybe focusing on an ABC test for some of their initiatives. And the concern that we have as an industry is if the ABC becomes the standard and we don't raise concerns, even in situations where the PRO Act is narrowly focused on the right to organize, is at some point when it shifts over, because it's been used time and time again, that when it comes to changing the status of how you do business, they're going to come back and say, hey, you didn't seem to have a problem when it was used for organizing. You didn't seem to have a problem when it was used for unemployment insurance. You didn't seem to have a problem when the DOL picked it up. Why are you expressing a concern now? And so that's the reason we really are discussing it now, is to share with lawmakers, both at the federal level and on the state level, because the states are looking at independent contractor status too, is to say, this isn't a determination that fits for our industry, and why. And then why that would be disruptive if we weren't able to continue as independent contractors. And so that's where we are on the independent contractor status. We're going to continue to look at those initiatives as they come down to raise concerns. We have a letter that actually should be going out tomorrow, I believe, that shows CEO concern. Kevin signed on. And with that, I think that wraps up just about everything that I have to share. Other than this morning, we also have a proposal that came out, speaking of Senator Wyden, who is looking at the 199A provision, which we were concerned, are they going to pull back the ability for the 20% deduction for non-corporate income, for those of you that are following, as an S Corp or an LLC. And the proposal that he's looking at would allow for a continuation of that. It would cap it for those with $400,000 or lower. So if you're making over $400, it wouldn't apply. But if they're talking about completely eliminating it, we think that that's sort of a move in the right direction. And for those of you that are in the financial services arena, not just the pure insurance arena, because if you remember, we went to Treasury and said, hey, wait a minute, we need to make sure that this can be applied for those that are in the pure insurance business. And Treasury agreed with us and said, that's true, they could take advantage of that. But anyone who's doing any type of financial advising or investment advising weren't eligible to take it. Well, under the new proposal, it would lift that restriction on financial services. So we may find, while there would be a cap on the income, there would be an availability for probably more members of NAIFA to actually take advantage of that or qualify for that deduction. So that's positive. We're watching all of those things, lots going on in DC. We continue to watch and we'll continue to report back. And with that, Mr. President, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Diane. There was a question in there about how the relevance of the NAIC model with what's going on with the DOL and the fiduciary. I'm summarizing the question, but can you touch on that for a second?
I can. Yes, the DOL will probably look at the fiduciary rule again, and that's exactly what we're going to say. And we've been reaching out to a number of our members, talking about highlighting the members again. We want to get to you and hear your stories. You know, this isn't 2010. We've had a lot of change in the industry. We have a lot of change in how you do business, how you disclose to a consumer what it is that you do for them. And we believe that the disclosure and the way that you operate is providing greater transparency to the consumer. And there really isn't a need for more. And the more that we get the states to adopt this as well, then you have a case where you're seeing the SEC, you see the states in alignment. Do we really need additional regulation from the DOL on the fiduciary issue? And you know, the answer is no. I think that we've moved the needle. We've changed how we're communicating, and it's not without its own burdens to our membership, but things have changed. And so, yes, the NAIC adoption by the states will hopefully complete that story of consumer protection working in their best interest.
Great, thank you. Sorry for throwing that on you, but you're the expert. So thanks, Diane, and thanks, Kevin. On behalf of the 20,000 members of NAIFA, we're just so grateful for the two of you and all that you do to help our organization. So thank you. Just a couple minutes, we'll wrap it up, and then we'll hopefully get you on your way. Again, thank you for being here. Couple reminders. Performance Plus Purpose, August 17th to 19th. Fantastic show. Fantastic educational experience. The National Leaders Conference, December 6th to 8th in DC. Put it on your calendar. Hope to see you there. In addition, a plug for NAIFA Live in September, on September 9th. Topic is Overcome by a gentleman by the name of Austin Hatch, who I've had the pleasure of meeting. You'll love this story, so put it on your calendar. I think you will. You'll be glad you did. It's an unbelievable story, unbelievable story. So again, we try to keep this thing as brief as we can in respect for your time, but I think you can also see that we're moving really fast. That being said, I ask you to keep in mind a slow moving animal that you're all familiar with, but because it's just as important that as we move fast, we continue to plod along and move forward. And that animal is the turtle. The turtle, you know, only moves forward when it sticks its neck out. So let's stick our neck out. Our industry needs us. Our clients need us. Our society needs us. As we head into the second half of this year, I'm asking all of you to come together. Our bylaws amendment of 3 years ago was a change in our culture, a change that the research and the experts said had to be done for NAIFA to succeed. And changing a culture is just never easy. It's common to hold on to your habits of the past. And culture change is often met with resistance, a period of resistance, if you will. But when that period is over, and I believe ours is very close, you can reach the heights you've never seen before and heights that have never existed before. So I'm asking you to join us in moving forward. Leaders of prominent companies, as I stated before, and associations such as New York Life, One America, Raymond James, ACLI, and others have all said that our industry needs a strong NAIFA. It is a voice that is indispensable in our space. And you, ladies and gentlemen, are the trailblazers that will keep it that way. Let us drive forward, not only by our desire to see a bigger, stronger NAIFA, but also our desire to leave a viable way for others to follow. In closing, I think you all remember a book by the famous pastor Robert Fulghum titled "Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten." I think one of you might remember one of his favorite lines, and it was, "No matter how old you are, it's best to hold hands and stick together." Well, NAIFA, if we stick together, our future accomplishments are seemingly endless. We are NAIFA proud. We are thriving. And yes, even with 131 years under our belt, our best days are ahead of us. So please keep in mind that this happens because together we can take on anything. Thank you for your time today. Don't forget your sunscreen and have a great summer.